Hello, and welcome to a Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness video where today we will be completing the game with just a Kangaskhan. Now, I don't really have too much to say on Kangaskhan, because I've never actually used one of these before, so this is kind of my first look into the Pokemon itself, so let's go ahead and see what it has to offer. For base stats, Kangaskhan has 105 HP, 95 attack, 80 defense, 40 special attack, 80 special defense, and 90 speed, and gets access to mostly normal type moves. However, that's a lot of TMs. In fact, there are normally more, at least according to Bulbapedia, but of course this game doesn't have HMs and quite a few different TMs as well, so I went ahead and clipped those out as I always do. But that's still a lot of TMs for it to learn, so it gets good fire, water, ice, fighting, ghost, and ground and electric coverage, so I shouldn't have to worry about hitting specific types in this game. But the problem is with a low special attack stat, a lot of those types aren't actually all that useful, but they do add some good type coverage. So, we move on to our Kangaskhan in particular. It has a naive nature, which lowers its special defense and raises its speed, which could help, but lowering its special defense does mean that some of the late game bosses might be a little harder. It gets access to the early bird ability, which really isn't all that useful in this game because you can just use the call button to wake from sleep immediately. And according to Bulbapedia, these are the 3 moves it gets by level 10: Comet Punch, Leer, and Bite. So, pretty good. Anyway, moving right along, and honestly, Kangaskhan kind of blew through the early game with nothing to report, really. Except for Comet Punch is an 85% accurate move, meaning that 15% of the time it's going to miss, which isn't too bad at this part of the game because the power level's still pretty low. The other thing to note is that it also hasn't lost yet, which is pretty good. Anyway, I'd just like to say, if you are liking what you're seeing so far, consider liking this video and maybe leave a comment down below for a Pokemon suggestion. Anyway, once I get into the building, I then get the move Fake Out, which is 100% accurate, which is nice. The problem is that you can only use it on the first turn. So it means that I have one strong attack right at the beginning, but luckily, soon after I get access to the move Mega Punch. Now Mega Punch is very similar to Comet Punch in that it's 85% accurate, but at least it does a lot of damage when it does hit. So we go into the first boss fight of the game against Lovrina. She leads with a Love Disc and a Beautifly, and I decide to use Fake Out just to see how much damage it'll do. Unfortunately, it's not enough to take down the Beautifly, and I miss my first Mega Punch. I go for a Bite, and it's not enough to take down the Beautifly either. So I've already taken quite a bit of damage just from her first 2 Pokemon. Out comes Roselia, and I'm going to use Mega Punch, and luckily it hits, actually taking it down in a single hit. And I think Delcatty might fall the same way. Mega Punch hits, and okay, it's not quite a one-shot, but it does do a lot of damage. Shadow Rush doesn't do too much, Bite's not enough to take down Delcatty, and unfortunately I'm taken down with a crit. Okay, well, we're now on the 3rd attempt, because the 2nd attempt went very poorly. I missed a lot of Mega Punches. However, the thing with a move like Mega Punch is that sometimes you get terrible luck, and sometimes you get perfect luck. Such as in this fight, I've already hit 2 Mega Punches. I've hit now my 3rd Mega Punch. And now I'm going to hit my 4th Mega Punch. And then Gust comes out, and I hit my 5th Mega Punch to win. With Lovrina now beaten, we move on to the obligatory Mirror B mention. Hello, Mirror B. Good to see you're still schmoovin'. And of course, I go pick up my 2 favorite TMs, those being Hidden Power and Protect. And I go ahead and teach Hidden Power right away, which happens to be Hidden Power Flying, which is honestly pretty okay. And of course I go to the tutor lady to go pick up Body Slam, which is just better Mega Punch in every way. And we go on to the next fight in the game. Now I'm coming to this about half health because the previous trainer did a lot of damage to me, so I'm not thinking that this is going to be a first try victory. But I get a paralysis on the Quagsire, and I'm actually able to take down the Lantern in a single hit, and Quagsire's paralyzed. My bites really aren't doing that much to Lunatone, but if I can keep getting flinches, I'll be able to take it down no problem. Unfortunately, it does set up Shadow Sky, so I'm going to be taking chip damage, but after a few of those, Quagsire should also go down. It misses a Rock Tomb, It is only 80% accurate, so that's to be expected. Body Slam takes down Cast Form, and then he's down to his last Pokemon, which is Matang. Fruity Pebbles Rain, and actually take down the Quagsire. And if I can just get good bite luck, or flinch luck, I'll be able to take down the Matang no problem. 2 bites, so it looks to be a 4-shot. Okay, Fruity Pebbles are gone. 3, and 4. Okay, well that was unexpected, but a first try attempt is good to see. Now I go ahead and teach the move Flamethrower over Bite, because honestly Flamethrower is going to be able to hit a few types that I can't hit normally, and I'm going to go ahead and carefully teach Protect before our next battle against Zonzap. Now his whole deal is the Nuzleaf is going to use Fake Out on the first turn, so I really don't want to get flinched and then get sparked by the Electrode and get paralyzed, but as you can see, got paralyzed anyway because it has the static ability. So this might not be a first try victory, but I'll keep going anyway. Okay, Hyper Beams really aren't doing that much damage. Luckily I didn't get put to sleep. I use Hidden Power here because it is super effective, but it's not quite enough to take down the Vileplume, so another one does. Haven't gotten paralyzed yet. Go for a Body Slam. Rock Tomb comes out, lowering my speed, but it shouldn't really matter. Body Slam isn't quite enough to take down the Whiscash. Hyper Beams really aren't doing that much damage to me though. I'm able to take it down. And then out comes his final Pokemon Skarmory, and this is why I taught Flamethrower. Hyper Beam. And now they're both going to be recharging this turn. And not a one-shot, but pretty close. Another Hyper Beam, and another Hyper Beam, taking me fairly low. Flamethrower takes down the Skarmory. And I think, as long as I'm not paralyzed... Okay, and for some reason it swapped to Feint Attack, which I'm not quite sure why it did that, but it wasn't enough to take me down, and I beat Gonzap first try. At the top of the pyramid, I go ahead and teach Earthquake over Hidden Power, because Earthquake is just generally useful for the last area of the game, and specifically this boss fight. His whole gimmick is protecting and using Earthquake as well, so I take down Celio. Out comes Slowking, I use Earthquake, take down the Lairon in a single hit. Not quite enough to take down the Slowking in a single hit though. Ursaring comes out, I use Earthquake again, which I could have just used Body Slam, but it doesn't really matter. Another Earthquake. Not enough to take down the Ursaring, but I knew that because there's an Ursaring fight right before this one, which is a good gauge to tell whether or not you're going to be able to hit that range. Another Protect, just to heal up a little bit of damage. I Earthquake, and Hypno survives, which I expected, and really doesn't do that much damage, so I'm able to take it down with a Body Slam and beat him first try. And the thing to note here is that I'm actually faster than our best placed Pokemon Ursaring by about 10 minutes right now, going into the last area of the game, so as long as it can keep this lead, this will be the best scoring Pokemon I've ever done up to this point. So anyway, we move on to Loverina, and Earthquake takes down the Gardevoir, but not quite the Gorbis. Luckily, I am female, so that doesn't really matter too much. I go for another Earthquake, take down the Roselia, and the Gorbis goes down with a crit, for whatever reason. And out comes her 2 Shadow Pokemon, Farfetch'd and Altaria. I'm going to use Body Slam into the Farfetch'd because I don't want to be confused. And then Altaria should probably be a 2-shot, I think. Never mind, taken down a single hit. Loverina goes down. And of course, here's the mirror match against the only Kangaskhan that we have to fight. And for some reason Levitate works even underground. And I get rid of Kangaskhan. Anyway, at the top of the mountain, I face Snaddle. And I'm just going to use Earthquake to spam my way through everything. Quagsire doesn't quite go down, so it is going to lower my speed a little. I go for another Earthquake, take down the Quagsire, but not quite the Scizor now. And I have to take down the Soul Rock here because it's going to set up Shadow Sky, or just do a lot of damage because it is a Shadow Pokemon. Everything it does is super effective. Shadow Sky comes out. Scizor gets the boosts, unfortunately. So now I decide to start Protect stalling to stall at the turns of Shadow Sky. And Scizor should go down this next turn. I go for Body Slam, and surprisingly take down the Soul Rock. Out comes Cast Form, Silverwind comes out. Another Omni Boost, but it doesn't really matter. And the only thing I need to know now is if I can one-shot Starmie with Earthquake. So out comes the Shadow Starmie. This thing only uses Shadow Storm, so as long as I can survive one of those as well, I might be able to be fine. I decide to protect a turn, so I can maybe get some more health back. I do survive, but unfortunately I don't one-shot, and also I'm moving slower, so I am going to lose here on my first attempt. Okay, well that's a little unfortunate. I scale the mountain again, and this time I decide to go for something a little different. I decide to body slam the Quagsire to take it out immediately. Not sure if the crit was necessary, but we got it. Flamethrower the Scizor to take it down. Out comes Soul Rock again. And the Metang is just going to be spamming Psychic, which isn't nearly as threatening as Silver Wind boosts, so I'd rather take those. The Fruity Pebbles rain down. I go for Protect here to stall out a turn, so that eventually I can start healing again. And so that they take a little bit more damage, just to guarantee that it wasn't for some reason a range. Another Psychic comes out. Fruity Pebbles do a little bit of damage. I go for a Protect again. And there should only be one more turn of Shadow Sky left. I then go for Earthquake to take them both down. So Metang goes down, Castform goes down, and now I just have the Starmie left. Shadowy Aura fades. I go for Protect to heal up just a little, just in case I get crit. Earthquake, which I probably should have just used Body Slam here, would have done more damage, but oh well. Starmie goes down, and I beat him second attempt. Okay, so moving on to Ardos. This could either be kinda hard or pretty easy. I take down the Alakazam in a single hit, and that's really not what I wanted to see. The Swellow goes for Shadow Half, so now I've taken a ton of damage. And unfortunately on this next turn I have to take down the Swellow because it might do it again. And I really don't want to have the Heracross alive because it does have fighting type moves to do a ton of damage. Luckily it almost always goes for Rock Tomb on the first turn, so I am safe. And the Electabuzz actually helps me here by going for Shadow Half, so I should be able to take down the Heracross in a single hit. Okay, maybe not. And it went for Rock Tomb again. Whew, okay, that's good. I go for another Protect just to heal up a bit, and it seems to just be using Rock Tomb, meaning that it wasn't as threatening as I thought it was, but it definitely could have been. So I go for another Earthquake, take down the Snorlax, and beat him first attempt. Okay, well moving on to Gorgon here. And honestly, same as before, I Body Slam the first Pokemon. Out comes his Aggron, I use Earthquake, take down Aggron. Don't quite take down the Ursaring. Out comes Walrein. Now this thing is probably going to be able to hit me once, because it does have pretty good bulk, so it definitely survives one. Out comes Poliwrath, which is the same story. It should be able to survive an Earthquake from me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Earthquake comes out, Walrein, Poliwrath, takes a lot of damage. Now it's just going to use Shadow Sky the first turn, so it's not actually going to be doing any damage to me. And as long as Earthquake one-shots the Mr. Mime, which it does, this is a first try Gorgon, so not bad. So moving right along, I'm going to go ahead and teach Ice Beam over Flamethrower at this point, because it'll be more useful for this next fight. And that's because Eldis is kind of the fill-in for a Dragon-type trainer. Kind of, because he doesn't only just have Dragon types, but he's got two. So Salamence comes out, and it looks like Ninjask is going to be using the Silver Wind spam. So once it runs out of Silver Wind, it's not really going to be a threat anymore. Anyway, I use Ice Beam into the Salamence, and it one-shots. Okay, well that's really good. Out comes Flygon, and I'm almost sure this is guaranteed one-shot. I go for Protect real quick, and another Ice Beam. Takes it down. Okay, and now for the next Pokemon. I'm pretty sure Marowak will go down, but it's not 4 times weak to Ice Beam. Anyway, I'm going to use it now. And it's not quite a one-shot. It hits Shadow In, doing about half my health, but luckily I am able to take it down. And out comes his last Pokemon, which is a Shadow Lapras. Now I do need to Body Slam on the first turn before it sets up Shadow Sky, and I get a crit and it goes down in a single hit. Okay, well that's pretty good. I just go ahead and Body Slam to take down his last Pokemon, and that's a first try. Now before this final battle, I go ahead and teach Thunderbolt, and we go on to the Shadow Lugia fight. I go for Body Slam, doing a little under half, which is a little unfortunate, so it's not quite a two-shot. And Shadow Storm is actually doing a decent amount of damage, so unfortunately I'm not going to be at full health for the final fight. But we move right along to Greevil. He leads with a Rhydon and a Moltres. Unfortunately, at this level, I'm not able to one-shot Moltres, so I do take a bit of damage. I go for Protect here to heal up just a little, but as you can see, this is definitely not going to go well. Moltres goes down, Executor comes out, Shadow Wind hits, taking me down to 3 HP. I go for Earthquake to take down the Rhydon, and do very little to the Executor. Out comes Tauros, get my attack lowered, and I get taken out on the first attempt. Okay, well, I could bore you by taking you through every single attempt that I've done, which this is now the 5th, which isn't actually too bad all things considered. I go for Body Slam here, take down the Moltres after a couple hits. Now the big thing is that because the move Shadow Wind is only a 50-50, I do just kind of have to rely on misses a lot. I am able to take down the Rhydon in a single hit, even from full health. And I've also used Rare Candies to bring up my level as well. And the Executor's damage really isn't too bad. I can take a lot of those, but an Earthquake does actually take it down. And I don't want the Tauros to use Shadow Hold on the next turn, so I am going to use Protect. And on top of that, I want to stall out the Shadow Skies as well. And that's because Tauros will always try to set up Shadow Sky, meaning that I get basically a free turn to do damage to something. Anyway, Shadow Hold comes out, and as you can see, the Thunderbolt is actually doing over half to Articuno, meaning that it will be a two-shot. I go for it, take it down, and then he's down to his last Pokemon, which is Zapdos. Now, because the Shadow Sky is just about to end here, I know for a fact the Tauros is going to set up Shadow Sky, so I go for Body Slam into Zapdos. Get Paralysis on it, but unfortunately it doesn't get paralyzed. And I go for Protect this turn. Stall out another turn of it. Go for Body Slam to take down the Zapdos. And as long as I don't get crit, I think I'm good. I should be able to take it down in a single hit. But just in case, I decide to try to play it a little safer. I go for Thunderbolt and take down Tauros. And Kangaskhan beats the game with a time of 7 hours and 42 minutes at level 79 and with only 10 feints. Which is kind of unbelievable that it beat Ursaring's time by nearly half an hour, beat the game at the same level, and had less feints throughout the game, especially considering the fact that it started out the game with a move like Comet Punch. So it's done it. It is now the best Pokemon on the tier list. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that besides being pretty tanky and doing good damage, is the fact that it was also fairly fast, which Ursaring wasn't, and it also leveled up really quickly, meaning that it could actually take on Pokemon that might have been stronger than it, but because it had such a high level, it could take them down pretty easily and survive all their attacks as well. The only problem I think this Pokemon really has is that it doesn't have a solid damaging move for any of the legendary birds at the end, and it doesn't have good moves at the beginning of the game. Comet Punch does a lot of damage, but because it's only 85% accurate, you do lose time to misses. And Bite's a good move, but having such a low special attack stat, it really can't use it all that well. And of course, Mega Punch exists, but once you get past that point, Body Slam is always solid, and in the late game you get Earthquake, so you can just kind of tear through the last area of the game with relative ease. Anyway, with that being said, if you like this video, consider liking and subscribing. If you want, please put a Pokemon down below that you would like to see, because honestly, this was kind of just on a whim. Kangaskhan I heard was pretty good, so I thought I'd give it a chance. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye.